Okay, just to start, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. So my name is Ariana. I've
Uh-huh.
been studying here for 2 weeks. I'm 22 years old. I came from Russia originally, and I live in Israel.
It's not often to see people from Russia here.
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that Guatemala is a very popular destination in Russia,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But I will make sure to tell people about how great this country is, and that it's definitely worth a visit.
Yeah. How did you know about Guatemala? I mean,
I mean, I've been living in Israel for the past 4 years, and there are actually
mm-hmm.
quite a lot of Israelis here,
Yeah.
and in San Pedro specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so I
there
heard
is a lot
nice
of people
things.
who has business here.
Yeah, I know, yeah. So I just heard nice things, and I wanted to check it out, and I was looking for a place to learn Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
and Guatemala was a great destination for that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
very happy with my choice, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had
Okay.
a wonderful time here.
And what's your plan? I mean, you came here to learn Spanish, and after that.
I mean, I was traveling,
Mm-hmm.
so I was in Costa Rica before, in Panama, and then I got here. I climbed a volcano,
Mm-hmm.
like checked out Antigua.
Mm-hmm.
And I originally thought I would only spend a week here, but then I loved my experience so much I extended for another week.
Okay.
So in total, I was here for 2 weeks, and I'm continuing on to Mexico now.
Nice. 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 And yeah, so you speak how many language?
I mean, I speak Russian, English, and Hebrew, and now kind of I speak Spanish.
Okay.
You've heard me. It's like
Yeah, no, I mean, you really speak Spanish very well.
thanks.
No, no, no. You know
Such
that
flattery.
I think that like other languages, you need to know like the basics to have conversation. But
Yeah,
the
for
thing,
sure.
I mean, the hardest thing is to have that conversation because a lot of students
Hmm.
studied at university Spanish, for example, but
They
when
don't
they
speak.
want exactly when they want to share some idea or want to meet other people, they are like they
Yeah.
forgot everything. But
So, sorry for
yes, no, no,
interrupting.
no.
No, I was just gonna say that for me, even if my grammar isn't perfect or my vocabulary is like shaky, it's more important to get my message across and to learn from people. So I will not give up on the opportunity to have a conversation just because my Spanish is not perfect yet.
Yeah.
I will much rather make some mistakes, but I will learn like I did from the family that I had, like my host family. We had
Mm-hmm.
conversations every day about like the cultural differences and
Mm-hmm.
about the history of Guatemala. My teacher told me so much about like the civil war here and about cultural problems that people face,
Mm-hmm.
about the religion, about education here, everything. And all these topics we discussed in Spanish.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sure when I was talking to them, I made a billion mistakes, but does it
Mm-hmm.
matter in the end of the day? Like, I learned so much and I improved my Spanish as well. So only by
Exactly.
making mistakes you can like learn and
Yeah.
grow. Yeah.
And in your experience, I mean, how did you learn the other languages? Because you learn
English and Hebrew.
exactly.
Well, with English, there is so much access to like movies and books and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just by talking to people the same way I'm doing now with Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
by reading, by watching. Right now, I'm also trying to do that with Spanish, like watch
Mm-hmm.
some TV shows with like subtitles, but in Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
just to listen to it more and to practice more. And Hebrew the same way. Like I moved to Israel, and within a few years, I had to speak a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Hebrew. I feel like you learn the most when you're kind of thrown into
Yeah.
the environment where everyone speaks this language and you just don't have any other choice.
Mm-hmm.
So here, for example, I've been speaking with people who don't really speak English.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the
Uh-huh.
best way to learn when you just like
Yeah.
can't skip
Yeah,
some
exactly.
instead of switching to English or
Mm-hmm.
Hebrew when I don't know a word, I have to explain it in Spanish.
Exactly.
So that's the best. Yeah,
That's
it's how you
that's
learn.
your like methodology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my method
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, and
Yeah.
when you get to a word that you don't know or a
Mm-hmm.
phrase you don't know how to say, just think about it as if you're playing a game and you need to like describe a word
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and you can't use certain words. We
Uh-huh.
played this actually with my teacher as well.
Okay.
You have a card and there is a
Yeah.
word that you need to describe and there are words that you can't use during your description.
Mm-hmm.
So you just find a creative way to describe it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Because I read something a few months ago, and it's about languages. Because now we can connect to people to any part of the world,
Yeah, that's
and it's
true.
easy, but we still have a barrier. And the new barriers or new frontiers is languages. So
Yeah.
if anybody can speak the same language of you can communicate. And doesn't matter if you have Facebook, for example, or
Yeah.
whatever. And yeah, so I think that the language industry is going growing in the last years, and it's still going growing for the next years. But yeah, I think it's important to know from something like you that speaks more than three language how to learn easier a new language.
I think it's just about not being scared to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the end of the day, like when a person talks to you and they make an effort and they try to speak this new language and it's your language, you're never going to judge them for not knowing the
Exactly.
proper word or a term or like a grammatic structure. You'll just appreciate them trying and you'll value that they're putting their time and energy into this. So the same way that you're not judging this person for trying to speak your language, you're not being judged by others.
Exactly.
So I'm sure I made a lot of connections here during my trip because I tried to speak Spanish and because I practiced, and I wouldn't have had these conversations in English or Russian or Hebrew.
Yeah.
So definitely just not being scared and not being embarrassed by making mistakes and
Yeah.
being ready to ask for help and being like, oh, how do you say this? Could you repeat like again? A lot of people feel silly,
Yeah.
but like how else will you learn?
Yeah.
You just need to laugh at yourself when you make a mistake and continue going. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Guatemala, or I mean San Pedro, it's a good place to learn a language because everybody can. It's very patient. And on the street, for example, they can repeat again
They
if
will
you don't
repeat
know.
500 times if you ask them to. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think it's a good thing from San Pedro. Huh?
Yeah, because
too.
it's not like a busy city. It's very calm here. The life
Yeah.
is very slow. So I feel like people have more patience for you as well because of that. And people here also speak several languages because of the Mayan culture. They speak a lot of indigenous languages.
Yeah.
So I think they understand. They're used to people not being able to speak the same language because there are so many. There are like 22 dialects. Right?
22, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot. That's a rich culture. So people
Yeah.
understand how it is to have like a language barrier, and they just seem to be
Exactly.
very accepting. So yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, and in your experience, which is the hardest language to learn?
Out of the four I speak, I would say Russian. I'm so happy that's my mother tongue. I would
Yeah.
never ever learn Russian
Yeah.
otherwise. Yeah.
Why?
It's just the grammar is crazy.
Okay.
Whenever I get to complain about Spanish grammar, I'm like, okay, well, at least it's not Russian. So that's all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, the easiest is probably English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But Spanish is pretty easy to pick up on, I think. It's
Yeah.
easy to kind of feel. There are a lot of things that you will be confused about and a lot of things that you're just going to be like, why? ¿Por qué? but in the end of the day, I think it's a language you can learn quite fast.
Okay.
So that's really good.
Yeah,
And
it's-
half of the world speaks it. So you have a lot of motivation to learn it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to use it in my future travels. So that's
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah, and sometimes there is I mean, depends where you're going, you know, because I think the Guatemalan's accent is like a neutral one. I don't say like it's the perfect one, but it's a neutral one because in, for example, Argentina, it's a little bit hard to
Yeah, it's
understand. Or
definitely
I think the most hardest
Nice.
accent to understand is from the Caribbean. They speak very fast.
You're like,
So
"What's
yeah,
going
for
on?"
me, it's as a native speaker, a Spanish speaker, it's very hard to understand what they say.
Yeah, so it's probably a really good place to start Guatemala for
Yeah?
sure.
And
Yeah.
then continue to the south to
Maybe,
know.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. But
My
where are you
next-
going after Guatemala?
After Mexico, I need to return to Russia because my
Okay.
friend is getting married. But I'm definitely gonna travel in like Colombia and Peru and Argentina and Chile and all that. So knowing that I learned some skills here and I'll be able to communicate with people and connect more is definitely very exciting. And I'm sure that my Spanish will get better and better. Now I
Okay.
have the foundation for it after 2 weeks in this school, and I feel like we covered so much grammar. It was a very intense course. So now I can just like work on my vocabulary and continue from here, but the base is already really good. And also, I'm sure that if I text my teacher Andrea with a question, she'll definitely let me know. Yeah, if I'm just like gonna watch a
Yeah.
movie or something, and I will be like, okay, Andrea, what is this? She will explain it to me, so it's really
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah.
Nice. So let's switch a little bit about traveling. I know that you are a solo traveler, and how do you feel here in San Pedro? Because I always say that to the students, but it's the truth that before COVID, I traveled to different countries to promote Guatemala as a destination. But yeah, the biggest question for the people is, yeah, I would like to go to Guatemala, but I saw the news yesterday, and there is like big problems there and things like that. But or Guatemala is dangerous, or comments like that. But how do you feel here?
I feel definitely very safe and very welcomed. I think when you travel, especially alone, as a solo traveler and as a woman, like you need to be careful and you need to be smart and you need to like kind of plan ahead. Know exactly like I will before I go somewhere. I will read about the safety of this place online and I will see some stories. But if you're being smart, like things could happen to you anywhere. You know, back
Yeah,
home you could be robbed and things like
exactly.
that. So you need to be aware of these possibilities, but still, it shouldn't be a reason for you not to explore and not to travel. Like I've had such incredible experiences, I can't imagine giving up on those. And San Pedro is just very nice. I've been staying with a local family, so that's just such a beautiful experience. And I feel like a lot of people who travel from a hotel to a hotel
Okay.
don't get to really feel the culture of the place, don't get to meet the local people, and it was very important for me to be fully immersed.
Yeah.
So that's why I stayed with a local family, and
With
it was just
Mauricio
beautiful.
and Maida, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
how's your
and their
experience
daughter
there?
Besh. It was just amazing. Every single time we would sit for lunch or dinner, we would discuss something new, and we would talk about everything. About I just learned so much about Guatemala through this family and their stories, and yeah, I'm very very grateful.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very special experience that I could not put a price tag on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is like the greatest thing about stay with a family, because you can, I mean, you talk with your teacher, but at some part of the conversation you need to learn a little bit grammar, vocabulary,
Yeah.
and there is a class. But with your family it's like an open conversation. You can talk of anything, right?
Yeah,
And
that's true.
they can give you like other perspective about San Pedro, for example, or about life, or about the culture. And I
Yeah.
think this is a great thing to learn.
I agree completely
Yeah.
for sure. It was amazing. And I would definitely like to do this again sometime.
Okay,
For
when?
sure. When? Oh yeah, you were gonna save the date in the calendar. I'll be
Yeah,
back.
I'm gonna
I'll be
put in
back.
my Google Calendar right now.
Notification. Ariana's back in town. I'll let you know when I'm back for sure.
Okay. Okay, yeah. And about traveling, there is some questions that people always say me that they never come to Guatemala. And the first one is, you can work here. I mean, most of the people are need to work in, I don't know, France, for example.
Yeah.
But they say, do you have Wi-Fi, or do you have
Oh, to work online.
electricity?
Yeah.
If you need to work remotely, for example, you can do it here or not?
There are definitely specific places that are good for working online. So there are certain areas that are dedicated to this. And whenever you're planning your trip, you can like search for it and look ahead. And I know that there are certain hostels that like promote themselves that they have a zone for working. But yeah, there are sometimes problems with electricity and stuff. It happens, but I think it's life, you know. And also, if you don't have an online job and you just want to work somewhere while traveling, there are a lot of opportunities through Workaway. So you could like volunteer at a hostel and stay there for free and eat there for free, just because you're dedicating a few hours of your day to like working in the reception or helping out, organizing events. So that's also a really good option for people who need to work and travel at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely recommend Workaway.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. And what do you do in Russia? Oh, you live in
I live in Israel.
in Israel, yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you do there to can travel for how many times? 3 months, right? Or
It's
no?
been 3 months and I have
Okay.
one more, yeah.
Okay.
So I was in the army for 2 years.
Okay.
So I was able to save some money up.
Okay.
Yeah. And after this, I'm going to go back to uni.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to study after this.
What you gonna study?
I applied for a few programs. I don't know yet. I'm waiting for the response. But I've always enjoyed working with children, and I've always loved teaching. So I
Okay.
want to go into like youth work and community development to work with less fortunate kids with maybe difficult backgrounds, problematic past. It could be like criminal justice for like young people, or it could be like kids of refugees,
Okay.
stuff like that. Yeah. So I'll see where it goes.
Yeah, and what do you think on in some part of this trip? Do you have do you change your original plan? I mean, because
Oh, yeah, definitely,
yeah,
all the
about
time.
what you're gonna to study.
About what I want to study? No,
Exactly.
it
No?
was my
Okay.
plan
Okay.
ahead.
Yeah. Because you know that I think one of the best investment that you can do before to choose a career at university
Is traveling.
is traveling, you
I
know?
agree with you completely. I mean, I've traveled before as well, so it's not like my first trip,
Okay.
but I can tell that each trip that I've been on like has affected me in some way, and I learned something from it, and it has changed me in some way. So this specific trip was kind of more about like spirituality, and I got to meet a lot of people who practice different
Yeah.
religions and different beliefs, and I got to learn from them and see which things I could apply in my life and which things make sense for me.
Yeah.
So that was very beautiful, and that was kind of my intention on this trip. But I feel like any trip you take, if you have an intention, like your main goal is to meet people or to learn what you want to do with your life or to, I don't know, learn about tourism, anything. You could find any goal, and your trip will go in a way that you kind of
Yeah.
have had set for yourself. You know, like if you
Uh-huh.
have a certain intention, it will happen. Like you will see examples of that specific thing you're looking for
Yeah.
during your travels, and you will meet people who will talk to you about that specifically.
Yeah, yeah, I'm agree. Yeah, but it's a good topic to talk about because yeah, there is a lot of people who came to most of the United States that came here just to look for something because they're gonna to university next year
Like a
and they
gap
don't
year.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think helps a lot to do
For
that.
sure. Yeah.
To know other people, to know what the world really needs, for
Yeah.
example, and
And it
yeah,
gives you
it's
perspective on your life as well because the lifestyles are so different. And
exactly.
you get to meet people who are very hardworking and very appreciative of very simple things. So it makes you more grateful for the life you're living as well and for the opportunities you have. And it makes you think about like things you could improve, you know? So for example, being in Guatemala, like I learned quite a lot about girls getting married really early or lack of sexual education in schools and stuff like
Exactly.
that. And I know it's the case in a lot of countries in the world. So I am passionate about it, and I could definitely see myself doing something in this field in order to improve things for others
Okay.
and change things up a little bit for the better.
Nice.
So yeah, you can definitely find inspiration during your
Yeah.
travels.
That's true. What
Oh,
we do,
really?
it's three things. The first one, we put this on the YouTube channel of the school. Of the, well, okay, the channel is Studio Spanish in Guatemala, and then we do clips with that, with this, and then we do TikToks. Short one.
Nice.
Yeah. So the idea is to share with people who never came to Guatemala and they want to come to
Yeah.
have an idea about
What type
because
of
if
experience they would have.
exactly because if I
You will
say
have the best experience of your life.
because if I say that to the camera, for example, it's good, but I am from Guatemala for sure. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell good
Yeah.
things about Guatemala, you know.
Yeah.
But if you tell things or good things
Yeah.
about Guatemala,
He's
it
paying
will
me
be
to say all these nice things, just saying. But
okay.
it's a joke.
What else? What else? Andre, ¿alguna pregunta que querrás hacerle?
Sí, Andrea, ¿tienes pregunta para mí?
Que la gente debería saber que no ha venido a Guatemala.
Sobre Guatemala, sobre Venezuela.
¿Cómo se llama? Preguntarle porque fíjate que creo que lo hablamos contigo, ¿no? Que la gente dice que Guatemala es muy peligrosa.
Hablamos sobre esto
Sí,
ahora,
¿verdad?
sí.
Ya.
Es lo que- sí. Ese siempre se lo he preguntado a mis estudiantes porque siempre dicen que vienen sabiendo que Guatemala es súper peligrosa, pero que al final se llevan otra impresión de Guatemala.
I just think I felt more safe in Guatemala than I have felt on certain trips in like Paris or I don't know, just anywhere in Europe. Like at night when you walk alone, you always feel like a little bit sketchy, you know. But here it's just been so lovely. Like it's a small village, and all the people here know each other, and it's like very. I don't know. I felt very safe for sure. And there's always someone who's willing to help as well. People are very helpful,
Yeah.
both in the school, in the family. If you go to any hostel and you have like local people working there, and any restaurant, like whenever I have asked for help, I would get it. I never was turned away. I never felt like I was tricked. I never felt like I was lied to or taken advantage of. Like I've just only had great experiences. It's you still need to be careful and aware, but
Yeah.
I feel like it was a really, really good and safe experience for me for sure.
Nice. And my next question, in your experience,
Yeah,
Guatemala is cheap or expensive?
Guatemala is really cheap. That's
Okay.
for sure. I mean, obviously, if you want to do like the most touristic things, you will pay some money, but it's the case everywhere in the world.
Exactly.
And sometimes this money is well spent. You know, it's like if you're paying for an experience that's like once in your life. For example, like I hiked the volcano and it was erupting. Like I can't say like it was too expensive or oh, I wish it was cheaper. It's like one thing that I will probably never do in my life again. So it's like incredible, and it made such an impact on me, and it was just wow, you know. So things like that. But then if you just live a simple life here while studying Spanish, I feel like it's very cheap. Like comparing the prices to Israel, then it's ridiculously cheap. But like Russia even, which is like the prices in Russia are quite low compared to a lot of countries in the world. If it's not Moscow,
Yeah.
then, yeah, like it's really cheap here. Yeah,
And what you can do with 100 quetzales?
with 100 quetzales.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. You could
Okay.
you could go to a restaurant and just spend it, you know, like this, or you could eat some street food and then you're gonna do it for a week. Like it
Yeah.
really depends. Yeah.
Just to have an idea, you use which kind of
In Israel, it's shekels.
shekels?
Yeah,
Really? It's
yeah.
like, did you know the Ricky Morty?
Yeah.
They use schmeckles. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they were mocking shekels.
Okay.
Everyone says this like shekels. So yeah, in Israel it's shekels, and in
Shekels.
Russia it's rubles.
Rubles? Uh-huh.
Yeah. I don't know, 100 quetzales. I bought really nice pants for 100 quetzales here. Like handmade, really cool, local style. What else I could do for 100 quetzales? I could definitely book like a tour for 100 quetzales to go to like a different town.
Okay, if you go to restaurant,
Yeah.
you can spend 100 quetzales there, but which kind of food? What can you
I
buy
would
there?
never spend 100 quetzales in a restaurant just like at once. I
Yeah.
feel like even if I order a lot and I have like a dessert and a drink and everything and it's really nice food, I wouldn't get to 100. I feel like, I don't know, like 70 if I'm fancy. Like it's really cheap here. I don't see why I spend 100 quetzales.
But the other question is, because when you think that something is cheap, is bad quality, you know. But what do you think about the quality?
No, I feel like the quality of food and everything here is really good. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the food is delicious, and you see how hardworking the people are. There is a lot of like handmade stuff when it comes to jewelry, clothes, I don't know, everything, you know, food as well. Like you can see that there is a lot of work put into it, and local people like really put effort into it and energy. So the quality is really high for me. Like I would spend much more money on things that took way less effort abroad, and here it just seems very justified, all these prices. Yeah.
Okay, nice. And the last one, do you have some advice or suggestions for people who want to come to Guatemala?
Definitely have an open ticket if you can afford it, if you have like time off work or whatever, because again, I came for 1 week and I extended to stay for 2 weeks in the school, and I would honestly stay for more. Like I just have other plans now and I need to go, but it's beautiful and it's amazing to kind of have like a flexible schedule and be open-minded to things. And definitely planning ahead is nice, but being open to changes in your schedule, because you could get to a place and you're invited to go somewhere else, or you hear about something else. It's so important to kind of go with the flow when you're traveling. And yeah, just being open-minded and not being scared to practice language, not being scared to meet locals and hear their stories, because this is what real traveling is about. It's not about just like staying in your hotel and meeting other tourists. It's definitely about connecting to people who live here. So that's my advice. Just come with an open heart and an open mind.
Nice. Thank you very much. And okay, that's it. But I would like to, can you say, I mean, not the same exactly, but the idea, but in Russia?
In Russian?
Yes.
About the open heart and an open mind?
The recommendation you give.
Wow, I need to wait. I'm translating to Hebrew,
Okay.
I'm translating to Spanish. My brain is like... Приезжайте с открытым сердцем и с открытым разумом.
That's it?
Yeah.
You talk like...
You want me to say more in Russian? Like,
No,
who's gonna listen
no.
to this?
Just to say, for example, you know, your experience here in San Pedro, for example.
Oh, I thought you were talking about only the last sentence.
No. You're
Wow, in Russian, the whole
yes,
thing.
if it's
Okay.
possible.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
And you want me to do it in Hebrew as well afterwards?
Why not?
Okay. У меня был потрясающий experience тут. Experience is not a Russian word. Hold on. How do you say опыт? Okay, I remember now. У меня был потрясающий опыт в Сан-Педро. 2 недели в этой школе, научилась очень многому. И я познакомилась с потрясающими местными людьми. Учителя и семья, я научилась у них очень многому. Я советую, безусловно, всем приезжать и учить испанский, и знакомиться с людьми. И тут невероятная природа и очень особенная атмосфера. И да, я думаю, что кто бы ни приехал сюда, у них будет потрясающее время и невероятные приключения.
How do you say thank you?
Спасибо.
Спасибо. Ahora en hebreo.
En hebreo, אוקיי. אז הייתי פה שבועיים בבית הספר בסן פדרו. עוד רבס.
אוקיי.
הייתי פה שבועיים בבית הספר בסן פדרו, למדתי המון, העברית שלי, לא העברית שלי, ספרדית שלי השתפרה ברמות, ופגשתי אנשים מדהימים, גם במשפחה שגרתי איתה, וגם מורה שלי לספרדית, סיפרה לי מלא דברים, ואני באמת התחברתי לאנשים פה ולמסורת, ולמדתי מלא דברים, ואני פשוט ממליצה לכולם להגיע ולהשתפר וללמוד ולטייל פה, סן פדרו זה מקום מדהים, וגואטמלה זה מדינה מדהימה, אז תבואו.
סבבה. How do you say thank you?
תודה רבה.
¿Cómo?
תודה.
Toda.
או רבה is like, תודה רבה is like, muchas gracias.
Toda raba. Toda raba. Muchas gracias. Toda
Con
raba.
mucho gusto.
Gracias.
You're very welcome.